Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Azeroth Daily for the 3rd of March 2011. My name is TotalBiscuit, bringing you your daily dose of WoW news and comment. Yeah, daily dose. Whoops. So, I had a few problems over the last week, as you can see. What I said was I wanted to give the PTR content the priority, which is exactly what I did. And there will be more PTR content coming. Now, I wanted to get Azeroth Daily going a couple of days ago, but things got in the way, particularly yesterday, which is still actually kind of affecting me. You might notice that as I salivate more than usual in this particular broadcast. I went to get some dental work done yesterday, and it's making commentary a little bit difficult. But I will continue and do my best, and hopefully everything will now be back on schedule. The headlines today. As you're probably aware by now, patch 4.1 has been announced and is available on the PTR. The current stuff that's available on the PTR consists of a remodeled Zul'Gurub, which takes the form of a second tier, level 85 heroic 5-man. So it's one stage up from the stuff we've currently got. There's also a remodeled Zul'Aman, although there's very few changes to that as far as I can see thus far. It looks like most of that is remaining intact, whereas Zul'Gurub has a rather large selection of new bosses. There's been no official announcement about the Firelands dungeon, although we know that that's coming, and that will most likely be a 7-boss raid encounter. As I said, it's not open for testing yet. Once it is, of course, there'll be coverage in great detail on this channel, and there's going to be a number of class changes, balance changes, and such. There is nothing whatsoever yet on the subject of the Abyssal Maw, which is the new 5-man dungeon that was supposed to be coming. However, I would predict that the 4.1 PTR is going to be around for at least, bare minimum, a month. So there is plenty of time for them to actually bring that in, and they have not discounted the possibility of that being there. All of the new, harder 5-man dungeons will be rewarding item level 353 loot, as opposed to the current blues at item level 346. Bear in mind, these 353s will also be epics. There's also a new Looking for Guild tool, which will be implemented into the game and will allow you to apply for guilds within the World of Warcraft UI. There's a little preview of that over on my channel, and it shows you the functionality within, which right now is a little bit threadbare. Aside from that, there's a bunch of balance changes, bug fixes, and things like that, and you can check out the official notes in the description below this video, and more coverage will be coming to you in the next month or so. The video in the background is a MMO champion data mining operation whereby they have ripped out what appears to be a legendary staff, which we suspect will appear in some form inside the Firelands dungeon. There's a lot of information over on MMO Champion, including possible data mine quests. Bear in mind that none of this information is final, and data mining is not necessarily accurate, but you can go and read the speculation as well as the data mined evidence over on MMO Champion. The link to the specific article is in the description below this video. BlizzPlanet have uncovered some interesting information as regards to BlizzCon 2011, and bear in mind, of course, this is also speculation. It doesn't necessarily mean this, but by the looks of it, in comparison to last year, BlizzCon 2011 will be significantly bigger. So here you're seeing the floor plan for BlizzCon 2010, which involves the use of 4 halls. However, the Anaheim Convention Center has more than that. They have a Hall E, as well as a large arena that could very easily be used for displaying content. Now, this booking right here from the Anaheim Convention Center would indicate that the show is going to take up the entire facility. So that will be interesting, and of course there's speculation that that will be used to house announcements and indeed playable content for their new title, which we know right now is under the project name of Titan. We don't know an awful lot more about it, but we know that it's going to be a next generation MMO, and it is not set for release for quite some time yet, but I would expect an official announcement this year, if I'm totally honest. So there you go, thanks to BlizzPlanet for pointing that out, and the full article, along with more speculation and info, is of course in the description below this video. And with that, it's time for your Daily Blues. Ildar has an issue, and that issue, yes indeed, issue, not issue, good lord. American pronunciation is always amusing. Whatever the case, I've now riled up half my subscriber base. Whoop, whoop. Here we go. It's from Ildar, and his issue is the fact that graveyard camping in Battlegrounds is a problem, and it is extremely unfair. Indeed, that is not so great at all. Now, as it turns out, there is an update on the situation from takralus, who goes on to say that the 4.1 patch will contain some kind of system that will hopefully prevent the graveyard camping by members of the opposing team. It also stops players from being able to respawn and run straight back to their flag room. They're going to have to either jump down and run out of the tunnel in Warsong Gulch, or go around the top of the base, which means that they will not be able to reinforce the flag room as quickly. Interesting mechanical changes, and I look forward to seeing what it actually does to Warsong Gulch in the future. Death Knights, take note, because Death Saint has got a very large post right here about the developer's design goals for the Blood spec. Now, there is an extremely lengthy response here that I'm not going to pretend to understand, because I don't play a DK. It's from daxxari, but you're going to want to read it anyway. This is only one of 2 posts that he made in this thread. He's responding to a whole bunch of different concerns, so go and have a read of that. It is definitely worthwhile. Link is, of course, in the description below this video, as always. And this one right here comes from Kitistra, who claims to have spotted a new phishing scam. As it turns out, this phishing scam, along with most of those phishing scams, is in fact quite old. However, the response from Zenlith gives a number of pointers as to how to avoid being phished, which is, of course, being sent a false email, which gives you a link to a site that looks like it's official, but actually is there to steal your username and password. That's one of the most common ways that you end up getting keylogged and getting your account hacked. So please read this if you have any doubts whatsoever. There is also a fairly large guide, a Blizzard support article, and the link is in that post, which is in the description below this video. And with that, it's time for your daily grind. Capping off those lore quests in Felwood, we have this one right here, which involves Illidan fighting Tacondrius. That brings this particular set of cutscene quest lines, as I like to call them, to an end, although I've got to say that Illidan is a little bit rubbish. Honestly, you have to help him out every single time. So, you know, he seems like a bit of a wimp. But there you go. After defeating Tacondrius using the power of the Skull of Gul'dan, he was then shunned by his brother in Tyrande Whisperwind and went off to be emo in the Black Temple. And with that, it's time for your weekly feature. This is Mod Your WoW. Now, it will be a double feature today. I'm going to do the postcards from Azeroth after this, but to start with, we're going to have a look at 3 add-ons that can improve your measuring experience. Now, the thing about these add-ons is they can also work for a lot of different classes, but the first one is mage-specific, and it's very simple. It's called Spell Stealer, and this is a very lightweight and minimum configuration mod that will simply pop up a window when you target something that has a spell-stealable buff on it. It will also announce to the raid if you've stolen the buff, so in certain situations that can be quite useful to do automatically. Like I said, there's no configuration required for this at all. You can move the window around if you want, but it will run simply off the bat, and that's about it. This is also included in a lot of more advanced modules in various different mods, but if you want to get your mods individually and want to precisely customize exactly what you want to do with your character, then this would be a good start. The next mod goes by the name of Spell Flash. Now, Spell Flash has support for a lot of different classes, although the officially supported ones are Hunter, Warlock, and Warrior, as well as a racial module. There are third-party modules for a Healing Paladin, Rogue, Combat Rogue, Priest, Druid, Shaman of Restoration spec, a Shaman of any other spec, a normal Paladin, and a Mage. Those are all third-party modules. I'm using the Mage one right here, and what it does is it suggests spells for you to cast in particular situations. So for newer players, this could be quite handy if you're unsure as to what rotation you should use in a dungeon. And considering the speed at which you now level up, it sort of makes sense to have a module like this to make sure that you've got your rotation down. It will also make you aware of things like priority orders, which is very handy. So it will remind you, for instance, if you're in a situation where you can cast like Deep Freeze and it will flash and blink it. So I can see the use of it, honestly. I don't think that I would use it on my mage, really, but if I, say, had rolled up another class, or maybe even particularly a Death Knight, because you have to learn an awful lot very quickly there, then that's the kind of situation where I would use a mod like this so that I could learn the rotations and get them down. I also noticed that it's not entirely ideal. There are some odd things, like, for instance, if you gain aggro, it will suggest that you either use Ice Block or Invisibility, which is kind of neat, but in a soloing environment, that means it's going to do that all the time. Whatever the case, it's neat nonetheless. I'm a fan of what it does. I just don't think I'd use it all that often. And last but by no means least, this mod is called Forte Exorcist, and this is primarily a Warlock mod, but it can be used for a lot of different classes as well. And the thing I like best about this mod is the fact that it's got this all-in-one bar for cooldown management. So you can see it down the bottom there. There's this bar whereby if you cast anything that has a cooldown, it will then appear on the bar, and there's a time slider. So it will show you exactly how long you've got on various different abilities, all in the same bar, instead of covering your screen with large numbers of these things. And that can be a problem, for instance, those using the Quartz cooldown monitoring system and things like that. I think, personally, this is a much, much better thing. Now, for Warlocks, it also gives a lot of different tools, including a summoning assistant, as well as monitoring for soul stones, health stones, and things like that. So, once again, it is primarily for Warlocks, but this particular module is the reason that I would personally use it, and I think that will definitely become a very handy tool in my arsenal. All of these can be downloaded via the links in the description below this video. And with that, it's time for a double feature, folks, as the Postcards from Azeroth contest talk about delayed. Good lord, I'm very sorry about that. So let's get it on, shall we? This was a contest for you to provide a original WoW recipe, something that you can make with items in-game. I want you to show me those items in a bag and then tell me exactly what you're making with them. And we've had a rather large number of very original entries, so let's kick it off, shall we, with this one. It comes in from Phil Butcher Stone, and it's a fairly simple recipe. Take your standard run-of-the-mill box, mix in a kitty cat in a box, and finally add some deadly neurotoxin. Result, Schrodinger's cat experiment. Expect trouble with Dieter. I have to say, I have never tried eating a Schrodinger's cat, and I do not intend to. Or do I? Jonathan Raphael. Oh, yes, he has Molokko's famous tacos. Yes! A great reference right here to Mr. Volatron. You require 1 shell, your choice of hard or soft, 10 pounds of meat, must be high-quality grade E meat, 5 slices of silverleaf, 5 shredded murloc fins, and 5 to 10 spices, depending on personal preference. Yes, it is delicious. Yeah, I would eat that. I probably would, and that embarrasses me. It really does. Could be worse, could be a Newcastle kebab. Christian Zarafa comes up with this one. That's just boxes. What the hell? Okay, interesting. So, if you follow the following steps, you will experience something boring. You need some boxes filled with programmers who think that everyone should experience everything within the game. Some boxes filled with players that think that standing in the fire is the problem of the healer, and the tank should tank the mobs they pulled. If he loses the aggro, he's an effing noob. Some boxes are filled with frost badges. Don't worry, you get them everywhere, and they don't cost too much effort. A big box filled with fresh and juicy nerfs, an even bigger box with welfare epics, and when you serve it, make sure to put an iced crown on top, and make sure it doesn't fall in the dish, because it should last over a year. So, you open the boxes and fill them into the server and serve well. Don't forget to completely mash it up every Wednesday. After a while, surprise, you will get some new, unhappy, born wrath babies who want to have everything and don't want to do anything for it except for standing in the fire. So please cook it only once in your life. Wow, that is cynical as hell. I approve of that. Again, probably couldn't eat it, but whatever the case. This one comes in from Maker, Mana Storm, and it's his recipe for 1,000 Torments of Chthon kebabs. Yes, you need 20 fresh pounds of flesh, 5 ripe watermelons, 10 armor scraps, 2 tear-stained handkerchiefs, and a soul stick. Requires level 85, item level 359. Use increases all damage to you by 25% and allows you to witness past raids on the old god Chthon that ended in failure and nerd rage. Once again, delicious. Probably not served in Newcastle. I have a feeling that Callum Comer is cheating right here. The recipe for burned gnomes. Step 1, kidnap a large amount of gnomes. Step 2, make a massive fireball of death. 3, throw the fireball at the gnomes. I'd still eat it, probably. This one comes in from Jack Thomas. I'm on a diet, so this is a conjured cake. I hear those things disappear if you log out. Dust of disappearance, vanishing powder, and plenty of water to wash it down. Warning, the side effects of consuming vanishing powder and dust of disappearance are unknown. Only undead consume, please. Once your diet is over, you can go back to eating fried gnome sandwiches. They are very lean, not many calories. Oh dear. This one comes in from Victor Holt, who says this is a recipe for totally nauseating halibut biscuits with tea. To cook this wonderful dish, you will need 1 sack of confectioner's sugar, 1 giant egg, 5 sacks bursting with simple flour, 5 packages of dry yeast, 1 bucket of greasy whale milk, 15 bags of cocoa beans, 1 flask of port, 5 raw spine-fin halibut, and 3 elixirs of mighty thoughts. You will also need a cup of sweet tea, a bag of popcorn, a fishing pole, and a cool hat. Oh, good lord. Yes, that's terrifying in a terrifying way. This one comes in from Mikael Nilsson. This is quite the recipe coming up right here. Why would you... No, I'm sorry. If you're made of wood, you should not be by an open campfire. It's extremely risky. Whatever the case, you're going to need 4 giant eggs, 5 honey breads, 3 raw black truffles, 3 delicious cave mold, 5 deep-fried plants, 2 teaspoons of sugar, and a gnome, in order to make the honey-breaded gnome with a black truffle salad. That is fancy. But again, I have to question the health and safety implications of what you're doing right here. And this one comes in from David Palmer. It's a recipe for archaeology. Take 100 troll artifacts, 900 night elf artifacts, 300 fossils, 500 Draenei artifacts, mixed together in a large bowl, cook on high for 16 to 20 hours. When done, product should give no useful items of any description and a smell of disappointment. Oh, it is delicious. Oh, wow. Yes. I feed on your tears by the sounds of it. Right, okay, so who's going to be winning? There are actually 2 prize winners for this one. There are 2 prizes. There is the second prize of a epic collection of the World of Warcraft trading card game, the newest set, Worldbreaker, and the first prize is another epic collection plus a 60-day WoW time card for your region. And the second prize winner I am going to give to Christian Zarafer for his overly cynical interpretation of what I was actually asking for there. Indeed. And the winner, ladies and gentlemen, is going to have to be Mikael Nelson for his exceptional food that could actually be eaten. I think that's probably the best thing. Out of all of the things you submitted, I'm fairly sure this is the only one that I would enjoy eating. So congratulations and stay the hell away from that fire. Please contact me via Facebook with your details so I can get the prizes over to you. And with that, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, for the mailbox. This one comes in from Narek, who says, "Hello, TotalBiscuit. I was recently leveling my druid in Northrend. I got to Zuldrak and was questing when someone said LFM Amphitheater. I'd not done it, so I joined up. We had 4 people and could have easily done the thing when the hunter in the group said they had an 85 that was going to come and help. The leader refused to invite him, saying he wanted a challenge, and it was not in the spirit of the game to do that. The hunter promptly left and joined up with an 85 friend to do the quest, along with the other person in the group. That just left me and the leader. I wanted to get it done so that I could go back to questing, so I joined up with the hunter as well. My question is, do you think that some people have lost the spirit of the game? What would you have done in this situation?" That would come down to individual choice. I think that what the leader actually said was great. That's awesome. Admittedly, just bear this in mind, that content is not as challenging as it was when it was released as a result of something called power creep. Power creep is a fairly common phenomenon which occurs in pretty much any persistent game that gets updated over time. It involves players getting gradually more powerful at different stages of the game. So say a level 70 now has more clout than they had at level 70 previously, usually because of updates to talents and skill availability. And there's been an awful lot of changes in that regard. So I don't know whether or not it's a worthwhile endeavor pursuing a challenge in anything below level 80 to 85 content, because that content has not been changed to take into account the fact that you are now more powerful than you were in previous expansions. That said, it also does come down to personal preference. I understand that some people don't want to waste their time on questing content and would prefer just to face roll it. I don't necessarily object to that. What difficulty you do only matters, as far as I'm concerned, if it affects everybody else. For instance, if you complain that heroics are too easy, and as a result Blizzard nerfs them, that affects everyone, and that is not okay. If you just have a desire to do questing content in an easier manner and overgear it or overlevel it, it doesn't affect me in any way as long as they don't change the difficulty of the content for you, so I'm okay with that. It does come down to personal choice. Nobody was in the wrong there. I should probably point that out, and it's going to come down to what you personally would like to do. This one comes in from Andy, who says, I just read the notes on the 4.1 patch, and one part in particular caught my attention. It says that 2 new instances will be available that will drop item level 353. I think this is ridiculous because it's babying people even more by allowing them to get epics in 5-mans. I don't have a single Cataclysm epic yet, and I'm still gearing in heroics, but this still pisses me off. What are your thoughts? I would agree. I don't think that they should be getting epics from it. It's as simple as that. How long ago was it that Blizzard said, oh, well, it's okay because we will just ensure that you will get epics from raiding and high-end PvP as opposed to 5-mans? Well, it looks like then they have now changed their mind on that. Why is it that people are obsessed with getting epics? Why can't epics just be removed for epic content? You know, raiding content and things like that. What's wrong with having blues? As regards to the item level 353 thing, supposedly Zul'Gurub and Zul'Aman are harder, although in my experience of the content, which I haven't done a lot of it, I've done Zul'Gurub as a 4-man group and been able to pretty much beat everything, although bear in mind we were wearing 4359, so we do overgear it somewhat. But we were still lacking 1 DPS out of 3, so that's, you know, a fairly big deal. I don't know about Zul'Aman, but Zul'Gurub right now is not what I would call challenging enough to justify epics. Admittedly, the epics are only 9 item levels higher, but because they are epic, they're gonna have additional stats on them. They will be worth significantly more. So I don't think they should be putting epics in those dungeons, no. I'm okay with them providing a slightly higher item level as long as they are proportionally more difficult. Although, what I've experienced so far is that Zul'Gurub is easier by a very significant margin than Heroic Grim Batol or Heroic Stonecore. Okay, folks, that's me done for this bumper Azeroth Daily. Thanks a lot for tuning into the show, and again, my apologies for not being able to put one out in the last week. Looking to get back onto a more regular schedule right now. More content from the PTR will be on its way over the next few days, as well as hopefully a little bit more leveling content for you guys, and Azeroth Daily will continue tomorrow. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you next time.